Hey, welcome back. My name is Uhfgood, and I'm taking a break from the donut, from the Blender Guru tutorial, beginner tutorial for 2.8, because even he hasn't got all of them up yet. So I'm going to in and out. Translating. So I'm just making a short video, going to be a few minutes or whatever, but to talk about how I should construct my scenes. Typically in let's see. Actually, let me pull this back up. Let me type in level design, something like that. Actually, that's level design rules. Maybe I should actually type this as a search, just so I can get some images. Level design. Images. Okay, so I'll just run through a few of these here real quick. You can, oh, right. As always, yeah. Okay, so level design with SketchUp. Interesting. You can see here this person creates this layout for in SketchUp, I guess, and then this is either it's a paint over or it's an actual 3D engine. It's probably paint over though, but what you're constructing is environments in most 3D games. Like this is an environment, right? And typically they're dynamic, which means you stuff goes in them. You'll have repeating structures, like these are sort of repeating over in here. This is a good dealie. Let's see if I can open image in a new tab here. Let's get the full size here. But if you notice over here, there's like these panels here, and there's floor tiles, and there's these deals, and this is somebody's level design. This is 3D games. Actually, I could look up 2D level design, but basically they're environments. So they have various modules, various parts, and in the old days, here I'll show it to you in just a sec. Here, you notice there's like these lights on here, and there's certain features that are repeating, and most games are like this. Most action games, shooters and whatever, even a 3D story-based game will kind of be like this, where they have like repeating parts. Let's see this. Let's say this is a 2D side-scrolling game. That's what it looks like. In fact, let's open this in a new tab. Actually, let's make this always on top, because I'm almost done. Anyways, so here you have tiles, repeating background tiles, and in the old days they kind of had to do that because memory was at a premium, pretty scarce, pretty low memory, and so in order to make bigger worlds, you might say, they would do tile-based background maps. So basically, a tile would be a collection of pixels, and they'd be set in a map. So then you could actually repeat them. So instead of repeating the graphics over and over, which would make the graphics files huge, they would just have one tile and it would repeat over and over again. So that works for that. However, let's see, adventure game. And not that you can't have an adventure game like this, but this is another good example here. This is an RPG kind of generic thing, and these are tiles. that make up this big map. And typically that's like an environment, right? So 2D and 3D games would do that. So what if I did adventure game backgrounds like this, and let's see, I guess, okay, this is just, these aren't really typically adventure games here. These are kind of newer. Like this is an adventure game background. I don't know, Cave Castle Adventure Game Studio. I don't know if this is for an actual game or if this is just somebody's, concept background or whatever. But if you notice, even though there's floor texture and all this, this is like a one-time location. You can always return to the location, but it's essentially one-time use. The camera doesn't move, and I'll explain that in a second, because there are scrolling cameras. But typically, it's just this one viewpoint, and you make this really beautiful background artwork, and it's essentially a one-time use. So when you're making most point-and-click adventure games, let's keep going and see if I can, like this one, Bolt Riley Reggae Adventure Game. Okay, you can see this is a background. Now, this scene has this house with these panels, right? We're assuming like corrugated aluminum, type panels here, or whatever. Now, technically, you could make that. You could make these separate objects, and then you could create different buildings like that. But this is typically a 2D background, which means that somebody like hand painted each of these. Now they probably didn't. They probably took it and then took the one that they made, and then they changed the color, changed the size, scaled it, all that kind of stuff, and how they constructed their background. But in general, backgrounds aren't constructed in pieces. They're constructed as a whole. They're painted, or they're created as a whole. Like this. This is Adventure Time backgrounds because of the Adventure Time cartoon. But see, this is like a cartoon, right? Cartoon backgrounds, they're one-time use. You're not going into or out of. You will pan over sometimes, and they do some kind of tricks sometimes. But for the most part, it's fixed perspective, and it's just the background. Just like this looks. This is kind of cool looking. So now this is a 3D background for an adventure game. Now, so I have this decision to make. So do I put this into pieces? Do I put my background into pieces, or do I make a one-time use? Do I make everything in Blender like this? Now, whoever would make a game out of this, they might have these different pieces here, because they might want different buildings that are like this, or like these lamps are repeating, right? So they might construct that in ways like that. I'm not saying that you wouldn't reuse pieces anyways, even in a 3D background. Even in a 2D background, you might copy your same artwork and put it into this new background and then recolor it. Because you don't necessarily need to redraw or repaint something if it's going to repeat. But, so that's kind of like the dilemma, or kind of like the thing. Do I make like a full scene and then just import it into Unity from there? Because, remember, eventually I want to use Armory. And Armory, everything's done in Blender, so everything in the scene will be everything in the scene. Even if I do it into pieces and then I construct the scene, I'm constructing it as a scene, which I know it's kind of weird, right? Because you're going, well, you're constructing out of pieces anyway, so what's the difference? The difference here is, for the time being, temporarily, I am doing my game in Unity, which causes me to need to export. So when I export, I make a scene in Blender, and I make the pieces, and I put them together in this scene, eye-pleasing scene, and then I have to go back into, then I have to import them into Unity, and then I have to reconstruct the scene here, you know. And you're going to go, well, why don't you just make the pieces and construct the scene in Unity? Well, the only problem with that is that when I go back to Armory, I have to reconstruct the scene back in Blender anyways. So why don't I just save the time on that and build my regular full scene and just import the whole thing. And that's kind of what I'm trying to think of doing. So I'm talking to some people, and they're saying that you should do it. Basically, you should put it in the pieces, you know, model the individual pieces or whatever, then bring it into Unity, then reconstruct it in Unity. And so that's why I'm kind of struggling with, you know, how I'm going to do it. And then the other thing is, of course, the fact that an enclosed room is a box, which means everything has to be in the box, and that means that I have to find a way to make sure that the camera stays in there, doesn't come out, you know, doesn't come out of the walls and stuff. Especially if I decide I want to move the camera a little bit. So that's kind of what I've been contemplating today. That's why I haven't even actually gotten that much done today. It's just because I am kind of thinking about, you know, open game art. I am thinking about, when I say adventure game, I don't mean Adventure Time. Minus Adventure Time, because I don't want Adventure Time itself. So yeah. See, this is not necessarily a background for an adventure game. But it could be. It's pretty cool. So that's just, I'm trying to decide. I'm still thinking about doing everything in Blender and then bringing the whole scene over, because it's not a dynamic scene. I'm not going to rebuild. I'm not going to make another room out of the same pieces. I mean, I might reuse some of the same pieces possibly, depending on what I'm doing. But that's not typically a thing. So, anyways, that's just. Let's try point and click. There. At least I got some ideas here. Anyways, so really that's all I have to say. That's why I don't actually have something done right now. I just wanted to briefly kind of go over what I'm kind of struggling with, and I've actually think with this video I'm sort of made up my mind, so I sort of made some progress, at least, even though I haven't actually done anything. So thanks for watching, and tomorrow I'll probably be back to the tomorrow. Would it be tomorrow? Yeah, it'd be tomorrow. Probably be back to the donut tutorial. So thanks for watching, and I will see you later.